Abortion. Who should decide? Let me take you back in time to Syracuse University in 1967, when a young woman named Donna had to call the ambulance, had to check herself in to Upstate Medical Center. Her severe pain was a result of an illegal back alley abortion. Her boyfriend had made the arrangements for her to go to New York City, to a rundown tenement building, to a poor, uneducated woman who injected some kind of mustard-based solution into Donna. After she returned to Syracuse, she was hospitalized for 10 days. She had almost died. And now back to Boston, 1969, when Anne, unmarried, found herself pregnant, found her way to an abortionist who told her to lie down on the table and spread her legs. Then, with no warning and nothing for the pain, he shoved a coat hanger into her uterus. The fetus was aborted, but Anne was in the hospital 5 times that year with severe infections. Then she had to have a hysterectomy. So at age 21, she found herself forever unable to have children. And back to Los Angeles in 1970, when Maria and her husband had just arrived from Mexico. Very young, recently married, and without work, Maria unexpectedly became pregnant. Scared to have the baby because they had no way of caring for it, scared to tell her husband who would be angry, scared to ask anyone how she could get an illegal abortion, she went back to Mexico for a week. There, she paid a visit to an old woman in a small village who had taken care of unwanted pregnancies for generations of Mexican women. But this time the fetus did not abort, and instead a child was later born so severely deformed and deficient that there was no choice but to institutionalize him in Los Angeles. He may be there to this day, cared for by taxpayers' dollars. Those of us who, like me, came of age when abortions were illegal have lived these stories, have seen this suffering. In 1967, it was determined that up to 1.2 million women were having illegal abortions in America each year. The women who could afford it left the country, went to Europe or Japan to terminate their pregnancies. But those who could not afford it, those who were terrified to tell their parents or their husbands, and those who did not know how to go about locating an abortionist, tried to do it themselves. They desperately inserted into their uteruses items such as screwdrivers, knitting needles, curtain rods, bicycle spokes. They took chemically caustic douches of Clorox, pine oil, turpentine, Lysol, kerosene. They ingested substances such as lead, mercury, phosphorus, and strychnine. Before abortion became legal in 1973, illegal septic abortion was the #1 cause of maternal mortality. It has been estimated that between 1 and 10,000 American women died each year from air or chemical embolisms, infections, or perforation of the uterus, the common complications of these abortions. In reality, the figure may be even higher. No accurate records were kept, and because abortion was a criminal offense, most private physicians would list another cause of death to protect the family. I wonder if those who are working so hard to make abortions illegal know or remember what happened to women back then. Perhaps they do, but perhaps they value protecting the fetus over all else. But everyone should know that if abortions become illegal again, or access to abortions becomes severely limited, it doesn't mean they will end. If abortions become illegal again, it is an absolute certainty that they will be performed, that damaged children will be born from botched abortions, that great numbers of women will once again suffer from poor health or sterility. And it is an absolute certainty that women will die from unlawful, unsafe abortions. I wonder if those who are working so hard to make abortion illegal again know the history of abortion in this country. Prior to 1821, abortion was legal in all states of America. Abortionists of every ilk openly advertised in newspapers, magazines, even religious journals. The first laws against abortion were an attempt by physicians both to protect health and to control medical practice by outlawing abortions by those without formal training. In the 1950s, doctors once again worked to change abortion laws, this time to liberalize them. They were motivated by hospital review boards that were restricting abortions in spite of physicians' recommendations, recommendations made to protect the health of their patients. By the 1960s, the women's movement was pushing to make abortion legal. They had much support among clergy. In 1967, American Episcopal bishops came out in favor of liberalizing statutes. That same year, Catholic priests were among those who formed a clergy consultation service on abortion to refer women to doctors who would perform the procedure safely. And the American Baptist Convention passed a resolution in 1968 calling on ministers to counsel and assist women in family planning and abortion. The goal to legalize abortion was finally reached in 1973 with the Supreme Court ruling in Roe v. Wade. Recently, as you probably know, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling, upheld a partial birth abortion ban with restrictions that have no exception for the health of women. 5 men, in the majority, in a paternalistic ruling, decided that they know what is best for the health and well-being of a woman, that in fact they know better than a woman's physician. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists has called the decision shameful and incomprehensible. There is no perfect, simple solution to such a complex issue, an issue where there are good people on both sides passionately advocating for what they believe is morally and ethically right. But I believe that care, concern, and compassion for the lives of these women, women who cannot cope with having a child because they are too old, too young, too sick, too poor, too abused, or too alone, trumps the concern for the fetus. I believe that it is not right and it is not righteous for a person, a religion, a government, or a Supreme Court to assert sovereignty over a woman's body, to demand that a woman bring an unwanted child into this world, to take away a woman's choice in one of the most important and perhaps painful decisions of her life. I'm Cynthia Dickstein, and this has been my commentary.